You are now live.
Ready or not. Okay. So, Abby, last one. Are you there? Maria.
Deliver us.
Abby, I've got 6 and 7. They deleted the link ups, which Janet says was in, I know we put at least the income one in miscellaneous, or not.
53.
Yield, yeah, or 53? That's right, we put them in.
It's 53.
It is definitely germane to menstrual products, so it's in there.
Everything is. We have made that long since clear. All right, and my big concern was the wording on the CUDs, which I'm sure Maria's,
With the change.
but yes, that was my big concern. And did they do anything else other than the link ups in the CUD language?
So I can address that first. So for the record, Abby Shepherd, Office of Legislative Counsel, you're correct. Those are the two changes. It looks like a lot of different instances of amendment in the language just because it's getting at different subsections, primarily for the effective dates. So it repeals the two sections. It's both income tax and estate tax for the annual link up that was included in the S53 report that both bodies approved. So that sort of must pass language has already been passed. That's why it was taken out here. So it wasn't passed in two bills. And then the other provisions are all relating to the CUD changes. So I will let Maria speak to those.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Abby. Maria Royal with Legislative Counsel. And so we're now looking at the second instance of amendment, which starts on line 12 of page 1. There's a new section proposed, section 19A. You'll remember that section 19 was your proposal that takes out the provision in existing law that requires that assets be transferred, publicly funded network assets be transferred to the state in the event of material noncompliance with a grant. You struck the language to the state because that was problematic, apparently, for some CUDs seeking financing in the bond market. So that has been unchanged here. What's new in section 19A is basically a report from the board, just looking at the implications of that removed requirement. And then specifically, if you look on page 2, line 4, the board will make a determination, and this report comes back to the committees of jurisdiction next January. And after reviewing all of the financing contracts and agreements, the board will make a determination as to whether publicly funded network assets are at risk of privatization due to financial insolvency or default under the terms and conditions of such contracts or agreements, and whether additional statutory requirements should be enacted to protect the state's broadband investments. And then in the third instance of amendment, the real changes here, this is the provision that requires notification if a CUD becomes aware of a risk of defaulting on a loan. The things that they added in the House were not just a risk of defaulting, you'll see on line 14 a risk of financial insolvency generally. And then in terms of who receives that written notice, you'll see on line 16 of page 2, instead of going to the full General Assembly and then the Joint Fiscal Committee during the interim, they proposed that notification go to the governor, the treasurer, and the Joint Fiscal Committee, period. And I believe that is the only change there. So who receives the notice, and also inclusion of potential financial insolvency. And then the fourth instance of amendment, you had sections 19 and 20 effective July 1st. The proposal here is just to make this new section 19A, also effective July 1st.
So did they leave in, did they leave in our wording, or did they take it out and put it into a study?
They left in your wording, section 19 is unchanged.
That's
So-
the 180 days.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And so what's amended in that third instance of amendment is only subdivision H1. Subdivision H2 had the 180 days and the intent about keeping public assets public. There's no change to subdivision 2. So that is the same.
Okay, so basically what they've done is they've deleted that, they've left our language in, added a 19-day to have the board submit a written report. And yeah, all kinds.
So just, yep, you're exactly right. Just to sum,
Requirement that ownership of grant-funded network assets be transferred to the state. So what are we studying in 19A? That
you're basically,
analyzes particularly with regard to the removal of the requirement that ownership of grant-funded network assets be transferred to the state. But we've done that, right?
right, you removed that requirement in
Yes,
section
they want to
19.
study what that means.
What that means, what are the
Okay,
ramifications, what kind of agreements, financing arrangements are being entered into, and should there be additional protections for the state's investments in broadband for you to
Okay.
come back and decide what to do, if anything.
okay.
Okay.
How about H1? That's the third section. What are they?
Yep, and so H1 is
Okay.
the only thing that they're changing there. It's identical to your language. This is the notification that a CUD provides to the board, and then the board provides, you head to the legislature, and then to the Joint Fiscal Committee if the legislature is not in session. So they're just changing who receives the notification. They would like it to go to the governor, the treasurer, and the Joint Fiscal Committee. And that they also included not just a risk of default on a loan, but a risk of financial insolvency. So they expanded what that notification applies to and then changed who receives that notification. They left the 180-day pause in place, and all of the language in subdivision H2.
Okay, committee. Thoughts,
Looks good.
questions?
It's fine. We have
What's another report?
We have so many reports.
I know.
I'd be glad to move, we concur with the House's proposals.
Senator
On page
Pearson has
7,
moved, we
3,
concur with
8.
the House's proposal of amendment. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll say aye. Aye. I'll say no. Thank you. It's nice to have our last vote, I hope, be a 7-0. And I guess I'm reporting that. Senator Brock, you have
We have one more
a point.
confirmation. Hey, when they call, they call.
Did I miss the other one that you were doing?
No, it's
No,
not doing
this
myself
this is,
short
this is
one.
the same one. The committee hasn't gone over it yet, but the chair had raised, because I didn't know if that was the last opportunity to
Got it.
get those in.
Well,
I figured we'd meet on the
yeah.
floor to do it.
When they said that Jeanette said that these had
Yeah,
just
yeah.
come in, I'm saying, well, Randy better get his up there because we haven't reviewed those either,
Yeah,
and
this
then
one
she
just
backed
came in
off
this
on that.
morning.
Yeah, they had come in.
And this is Debbie Winters of Swanton, and she is for the Vermont Municipal Bond Bank. And she has been on the bond bank for a number of years, very experienced person. She runs a company, a fire extinguisher, and fire extinguisher repair and renovation company in Burlington. Well, not well qualified for the role in bond bank. Recommend
What's the name again, please?
Debbie Winters, Deborah Winters. Husband is Mrs.
equipped to put out fires. if
He can
anything
put out
happens.
fires, absolutely.
Okay, that is a motion that we recommend to the House, the Senate, that they confirm the appointment of Deborah Winters, Debbie Winters.
That is what the list on the sheet. that we
Is
got,
Debbie?
But
Okay. Bond
municipal bond bank.
Bank, municipal bond bank. Further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Say no. 700, we're on a roll. Have we got anything else we can vote on?
Debbie or Deborah?
If she's listed as Debbie on the sheet we got from the governor, so I
That
probably
is
listed
Debbie.
DEDBIE.
Gonna be tax.
I'm not getting into the
Yeah.
Judy versus James Carter.
It's gotta be.
Is there anything up there that we should do, Madam Chair?
I don't know. Let's pick something at random and vote on it.
Okay, there's workers' comp is available.
No, that was not a good
I
one the
believe
other
there's a
day.
clean heat standard bill we could.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Let's
Send it
go.
again.